Hey sailors, welcome to the crew. I'm Sea Lord Jenda, and this is my Let's Play of Rule the Waves 3 as the United States. It's now May of 1945, we are at peace, we're building our first fast battleships, and as we're the United States, we're pretty much trying to figure out what kind of awesome things we can build using our increasingly enormous budget. We do kind of need destroyers. We're building some, but we could probably use even more. Some ships have worked up, struggling with supercarriers. Republic has developed a fighter. Oh my god. It's hugely superior in just every measurable way, except toughness, to the Douglas Dauntless. So yeah, we'll buy the Republic Wildcat. I've been a little negligent in commissioning new aircraft, but on the other hand, it doesn't matter that much because, oh my god, the monthly build cost of these. Yeah. We're not going to be able to sustain this, even once our battleship, well, once everything else we're building is finished, maybe almost. But these are a huge expense. Tell you what, we're going to scrap the 3 Minnesotas right now. They've done good service. Minnesota fought the French Navy twice, and the British Navy once. Particularly good results at Le Désirade. I've accidentally skipped Washington. New Jersey fought the French once and the British once. Washington fought the French twice and the British once. But the time's come. They're nearly 30 years old now. They're too slow for modern combat. In terms of guns and armor, still pretty solid, but too slow. The Illinois class, there's really nothing wrong with them at all except their speed, but they will be in reserve for the moment. And we'll scrap them once the Vermonts are finished. I also want to replace Constellation and Congress with 2 last modern battle cruisers, but that's once the budget's not at minus 11,000 a month. $8,000 a month to build these battleships. Good gravy. Alright, the Republic Thunderbolt is ready. Alright, I do keep forgetting. We don't use medium bombers too much. But yes, this dive bomber and torpedo bomber will both be heavily outdated at this point. We are going to request a proposal for a new dive bomber that has probably toughness and range. Seems like the logical things. Yeah, we're going to have to pause one of these battleships sooner or later, but we'll burn through our war chest first. Lightweight materials for torpedo mounts. Lighter torpedo mounts, as makes sense. Well, that bought us a couple extra months. By the time Huntington's done, the budget might be close to balanced. More than you'd think. Okay, Japan and Italy are allied. Very concerning. Sure, we can hold the sailing regatta. Better not cost me too much money. I mean, how much can one... Okay, that cost an absurd amount of money. We're going to have to immediately delay 2 of these battleships to pay for that damned sailing of regatta. What? How did we manage to spend, what, 25,000 or something on a sailing regatta? What do these rich people need? It's 1945. They barely even exist anymore. Okay. Captain Lowe, who is a below average loose cannon but good at gunnery, thinks he can improve crew efficiency. We could try some of it out. We have plenty of prestige. Okay. Our balance is okay again. Not in the long term, but I mean, pretty much the next 2 years are going to have to be devoted to these Vermont-class battleships. Good news is, once they're done, that's almost it for heavy surface capital ships, but obviously they're very expensive, to say the least. Forced lubrication, 1% weight saving on machinery. And we're going to have to pause Ohio. Once Salt Lake City is finally finished, we should be able to keep up building all 3 of them. Did we just finish our... Yeah, we have all these submarines. Okay. I think we can afford to stick... I didn't even mean to change that originally, but I'm going to stick with it, because for the US, I feel like we can afford plentiful missile storage, probably. Japan wants to buy things. No. Struggling with angled flight decks and multi-channel fire control. Outstanding. A hawkish government should absolutely raise armament expenditures. Well, okay, a strong navy is the guarantor of peace. The Republic has upgraded the Thunderbolt with a good deal more range, which pretty much corrects the major issue I had with it, so great job. Okay, we're making a profit again, thanks to that government, despite the fact that we are building all 3 Vermonts, and that Charlotte's not finished yet. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to save up a little bit of a war chest, as it were, and we're going to look into building a really badass battlecruiser. Okay, Boeing, Vought, Consolidated, and Grumman entries. They're all much faster and pretty similar in speed. Okay, the Vought entry is out because its range is terrible. And everything else, too. What are you doing, Vought? I guess its toughness is good. They all appear to have the same bomb load. They're all capable of medium ASM carrying, so question if they're really dive bombers at that point, but sure. Right, so Boeing, Consolidated, Grumman. Well, okay, if I prefer the extra maneuverability, then it pretty much comes down to Consolidated Grumman. Consolidated is very marginally faster, but Grumman has extra range, so I'm going to go with the Grumman design. Okay, our funding is coming along nicely. With Salt Lake City commissioned, we can decommission USS Rochester. Only ever a one-off, but she did manage to fight, what, 3, 4, 5 battles, mostly against Russia. Did good work. Not a bad cruiser, just she was a one-off replacement, so. We are now up to basically where I want the fleet to be, which is we're at 8 battleships, 4 battle cruisers, 10 heavy cruisers, 12 light cruisers, 80 destroyers, which gives us the biggest destroyer force in the world, the biggest battleship and battle cruiser forces in the world by a very healthy margin. And we do have the biggest fleet carrier service in the world, although maybe we're arguably neglecting it a little bit right now in favor of surface ships. It's only in the cruisers that we're behind. but I'm confident that our cruisers are all high quality now, compared to a lot of the rubbish the AI has. So, yeah. Alright, the United States class has 9 16-inch guns, all forward, 12-inch belt, 4-inch deck, makes 32 knots. We're going to go for 32 knots. Minimum is probably okay. 12-inch belt, 5-inch deck. Torpedo defense 4. 5-inch secondaries, but they'd better be dual purpose. There'd better be more of them than that. And drop the tertiaries. Well, that just fixed our weight problem. Drop the... Actually, battle cruisers maybe have a little more justification to have hangars. It doesn't entirely. I mean, they operate a lot more independently, so maybe. Okay, and then the big question is, do I want to stick a last turret on? And I think the answer is yes. Or do we just go with... You know what? I like the all-forward thing that we had. The last class. Although I don't think that's how that's supposed to be. Maybe it is. Perfect. Okay. 3 quadruple turrets, all forward. 12-inch belt, 5-inch deck, 32 knots, 5 20-inch dual-purpose secondaries. Let's just go ahead and pretty well max out the AA. It's got radar. It does have a hangar, which I think is reasonable. Obviously, it's going to need to be heavier than that. To the tune of 56,500 tons. Also, Randolph is a terrible name. Oriskany is better. Let's go with that. Okay. We're already developing a new dive bomber. Grumman Harpoon. Torpedo bomber will be next. We're not going to be able to build 2 Oriskanys at once, but maybe, actually. Better 3-inch autoloader. The Republic Wildcat is more effective now. We're probably going to be able to lay one of these down at a time, but we'll see how the budget goes. Close to multi-channel fire control. Good. At least we're going to have a little bit of money to spare by the time we have the design ready. 310. How does that compare to ours? Well, similar speed, but much less range, right? Didn't it only have like 300 kilometers range? Yeah, 390. And a 500-pound bomb load, though. Maybe that was medium. I feel like we're better, which makes sense because Russia's tech is super backwards. Yeah, send the newest ships on the world cruise. Medium AA radar director. Handy. Struggling with surface-to-surface missiles, but soon. I guess when I say these are our largest, or when I say these are our last ever surface capital ships, maybe there's an outside possibility that we could build an arsenal ship or something in future. Not sure if it's effective. Like I actually legitimately have no idea if it would be effective in game or not, but it sounds fun to try. Don't know if it'll be quite this size or not, but oh, it's just basically like it's a modern missile armed ship, but like the size of an old battleship packed with tons and tons of missile launchers. Multi channel fire control reduces heavy AA factor penalty for multiple calibers. Okay, that's handy. Rebellion in the Marshall Islands. What are you doing, Japan? Well, nobody ever really built one in real life because I think it's because a combination of naval budgets shrinking a bit and the fact that they might be impractically vulnerable to being disabled by one missile hit, but in game, they might work better. I don't know. Uprising in China. Having a lot of issues in China. We'll send a strong force. We'll safeguard our interests. Still struggling with the carrier battle group. Oh, it's a little late to be struggling with that, really. Vought has built a naval patrol aircraft. It is faster, but not longer ranged than its predecessors. So I kind of feel like I don't really want it that much, because what good is a naval patrol aircraft that doesn't have an enormous range? I mean, it has a pretty good range, but like, what's its advantage? Just that it carries better bombs? Nobody cares about the firepower or bomb load of a patrol aircraft. More dockyard for super carriers, says Silver Knight. Yeah, he's right. We should get more dockyard for super carriers. Although we can't really afford it, but I'm going to do it anyway. Frederick is really neglecting their training in favor of physical fitness, apparently. I don't know how Japan is currently. None of the Marshall Islands are very big. What are you doing, Japan? I mean, are there even natives on, like, Tarawa? I don't think there are. There are in some parts of the Marshall Islands, but, like, the places where the critical naval bases and stuff are, I don't know what they're doing. Okay, Valley Forge is a pretty good name. We're gonna have to Germany and Japan. Wait, are Germany, Japan, and Italy all in an alliance? I don't like this. Don't like this much at all. Hold on. Austria and Russia are in an alliance. Spain and Russia are in an alliance. And Italy, Japan are in an alliance. It's not technically a three-way alliance, but Germany and Italy are very friendly. Not sure I like that, folks, but it's past 1945. What could go wrong? Besides, I'm pretty sure the only fascist country is Spain. They're not having a good time of it. Struggling with high drag speed calibrations and TNT explosives. Okay, Valley Forge is going to be pretty delayed unless we get a budget improvement. She might be like a year behind Oriskany, but you know what? Sure, I don't care for another war with Britain right away, so How is carrier battle group beyond the state of our science? They had them 3 years ago in real life. I guess they had task forces, which are not really quite the same thing, but I mean, come on. They had the groundwork. Eh, I guess maybe not. A carrier battle group is a more independent Cold War sort of thing, so I still don't see why they're beyond the state of our science. It's more of a doctrinal shift. And even that was only because they had less carriers and were scattering them around the whole world. They still would have stuck with task forces if they had. Jeez, we've stolen data for everybody's everything. Um, they still would have stuck with task forces if they'd had enough carriers to put 6 of them everywhere. Um, the Navy does not give a damn about the Bismarck Archipelago. Although that's like actually almost our only South Pacific possession, apparent, I think. So maybe I should, but Douglas has built a light jet fighter, the Douglas Devastator. It is marginally better than the Republic Thunderbolt. Okay, I'll buy it. Gotta push that jet technology. Oh no, we still have Polynesia. I don't know. At some point, I'll probably have to try to put my foot down on decolonization, but I really think you can only delay it. I could be wrong. Hello, Jofu. We're just building some super large battleships and battle cruisers. The Vermont class. And the Oriskany class. I was thinking about trying to shove 18-inch guns on them, but turns out we don't have enough dockyard capacity for that, really, so. Britain wants an alliance now? That's wild. I mean, it kind of makes sense because they're so militarily shattered that they pose no realistic threat to us anymore. But, like, who would they even need it against? They're still more powerful than. Well, they're actually weaker than Germany, which is fascinating. Maybe they want it against Germany? I want to decline. Not that I want a war with Britain, but I don't even know what they would help me with, really. Republic puts more range on the Thunderbolt. Okay, good job. Alright, budget's looking a little better, but I still can't really afford to resume Valley Forge. Jensen's very high with Russia. I don't even know what we'd really do if we were at war with Russia, though. Like, rebellion. I mean, we have no real overlapping territory except, I guess, here. And their navy is mostly cruisers and destroyers. I mean, they have very few capital ships. 7 total to our 23. Okay, we can do like a couple months of construction on Valley Forge now. Well, Due to the lack of war, time has been moving fast enough that the Vermonts are almost finished now. And at that point, that will... you know what? No. I did this before, and you spent like 25,000 on it. Japan has managed to crush the rebels. Good job. Sure, still sell stuff to the South Americans. Ooh, electronic gunnery computer, national accuracy improvement. Fantastic. We're starting to get into the techs that didn't exist. I mean, that tech might have literally existed in Rule of Waves 2, I'm not sure, but that ended in 1950, so if it did, you wouldn't have ever seen it used much. We are starting to edge up on essentially new material. No, we don't need to fight Italy or help Italy. We're very neutral there. TNT RDX explosives, more shell damage. Fantastic. We've actually managed to stabilize on building all 5 of these capital ships simultaneously. Because we're the US and our budget is enormous. Naval attaché to Switzerland. Well, there must be somebody useless we could send. Close to surface missiles. Okay, that'll be kind of revolutionary. Well, early surface-to-surface missiles are early. I would assume they're pretty primitive and not perfect, but nonetheless, obviously, it's a pretty revolutionary sort of change. Oh boy, a round of fighting amongst the Balkan nations. Gee, I wonder what they're serving for dinner at the flag officers' mess. It did increase tensions with everyone. It's pretty high with Russia, but like, on the bright side, our budget has gone up enough that we're in pretty excellent shape now. I think I should probably lay down more destroyers, most likely. Although apparently our destroyers are obsolete enough that I don't really feel like I've had any breakthroughs that would really warrant a new design, though. I mean, the obvious one would be once we get those surface-to-surface missiles, but they don't exist yet, so I'm just going to lay down like 10 destroyers for right now. And those will probably just replace Winslow's, honestly. Unhelpful. But USS Vermont is commissioned. No, we are maybe going to fight Japan, so that seems like a bad idea. Anti-submarine torpedoes, that's handy. Right, and that means we're going to need to figure out what to do with this money. Because we're about to have a lot of it. The logical answer is probably cruisers, destroyers, and aircraft carriers. But we don't have, I mean, we can get jet-capable carriers. That's what we're going to have to look into. Not quite the same as super carriers, but, yeah. Maybe we can replace the 3 Langleys with 4 jet-capable 100 aircraft carriers. That can make 32 knots. I should have just typed 100. That was unnecessary. Flight deck armor. How much flight deck armor did our... Hold on. How much flight deck armor did the Ticonderogas have? 1 inch. 3-inch belt, 3-inch deck, 1-inch flight deck. They're still surprisingly light. I should probably just be focusing on destroyers. We actually really need to improve destroyers more, but... Right, 3-inch belt, 3-inch deck. Let's put, like, a full 2 inches of flight deck armor, though that's not extremely expensive. Let's get 100 aircraft. Probably don't need a seaplane carrier, though. The latest radar. 4-inch dual-purpose guns. Piles of AA, although, oddly, the AA capacity is not that high. Oh, but the 4-inch dual-purpose guns are doing most of the AA work, I think, yeah. Okay, so then the only issue is that this is going to weigh 60,000 tons. Which is a bit of an issue. It was jet capable, right? Yes. That increases the tonnage a lot. Okay. Alright. I see the problem here. Okay. Yeah, this is maybe going to be a little much, actually. Right. I don't have angled flight deck, which probably means it's stupid to build this. Yeah. Yeah. It is a big carrier. But I think Jofu is right. Well, he didn't exactly say anything. He just asked, but I think that it's stupid to build a jet-capable carrier that doesn't have an angled flight deck. You just have to... It would just become obsolete so quickly. We're in an odd period. We don't quite have angled flight deck yet. The other thing I could do is try to replace the whole destroyer force. But we're gonna get surface-to-surface missiles soon, and that would render them potentially obsolete pretty quickly too. You know what? Let's just build I'm not sure if you can refit. There were a lot of attempts historically. I mean, people built, like, the Essexes, several of them were converted to angled flight deck, so maybe you probably can refit it. Alright, you know what? We can probably refit it on later. Let's just build it like this. Bennington, Shangri-La, Hornet. Shangri-La is kind of a great name. Name a whole class of carriers that? Oh, we cannot. We don't have super carriers yet. Okay. We're going to have to build a much smaller carrier then. That's my bad. What's the limit? 47,200? That's so specific. Fine. 47,000, and how many damned aircraft can I fit on it? I could just, well... I can build something close to a Ticonderoga. I can't build exactly a or I shouldn't build exactly a Ticonderoga, because they're not jet capable. Okay, less flight deck armor. They're criticizing my excess of... What do you mean more than 8 radar-directed medium AA mounts is excessive? There's no such thing as excessive AA, surely. Yes, you can. I think you can jet refit them, yes. Arguably, it's actually a little premature, considering that we only have jet fighters and not jet bombers, although, I mean, doesn't mean you can't operate prop aircraft off of them. It's just that it reduces your aircraft capacity somewhat notably. Um, okay, how many aircraft can I fit on here? 70. Let's just say 72, because reasons. I mean, it's excessive. I can't see how there's such a thing as, oh, more 3-inch. Yeah, that's probably. Just fill it with 3-inch dual purpose guns instead. That does seem to be what the game is hinting at, probably. That's a lot, okay. I mean, I could also probably increase the capacity of the hangar instead. Oh, that auto place did not make that much better. I guess there's no really natural looking place to put them on a carrier deck. Kind of a weird carrier. It's just in a weird place where we are building a jet-capable carrier, but we don't have angled flight decks, and we don't have jet bombers, and we don't have supercarriers. So this is kind of the biggest we can do. This has become radar directed. More effective versus jet aircraft. Yeah, this is not, we don't have CIWS yet. Oh, we've exceeded our top side. Oh, and that's more secondaries than we can have. Fine, let me take some away. How many am I allowed? Apparently I'm allowed 16. Fine then. How's this for you, game? I think this works. It's got a little bit of spare capacity, maybe enough to fit an angled flight deck on. Maybe not too, but... Thanks for watching, sailors. I hope you enjoyed. New parts will be up every other day, or you can watch live on Twitch. If you did enjoy, consider leaving a like or subscribing. Have a nice day, sailors. This is Sea Lord Janda, signing off.